On September 11, 2001, security cameras throughout the World Trade Center complex recorded scenes that would define a generation. Most of what those cameras captured showed devastation, chaos, and loss. But hidden within those recordings, radio logs, and survivor testimonies lies one story that stands apart from the others. A story where the final captured moments inside a collapsing skyscraper didn't mark an ending, but the beginning of an impossible survival. This is Stairwell B, reconstructed from footage, transmissions, and the last known movements of the people trapped inside a moment in history where darkness collapsed around them. Yet life remained. At 8:46 a.m., lobby security cameras in the North Tower jolted violently. The image shook. The timestamp froze for half a second, and then the lens filled with falling ceiling tiles and dust. Seconds later, crowds appeared in frame, some running, some helping others, all heading toward the stairwells. These cameras continued recording for over an hour, capturing the steady, disciplined evacuation of thousands. Inside the stairwells, A, B, and C, civilians from the highest floors began their descent. At the same moment, firefighters entered the tower and climbed upward. Their movements were preserved through a handful of cameras and their radio calls. Advancing to 22, fire conditions heavy on 30. Continuing up, firefighters from ladder 6 pushed higher, passing the constant stream of people fleeing downward. Many of their final recorded transmissions were made during these minutes. As the minutes passed, the stairwells filled with smoke. Some cameras caught blurred silhouettes holding the railings, covering their faces with cloth. By 9:30 a.m., collapses inside the tower had blocked stairwell A and C. Only stairwell B remained open, damaged, dark, but still passable. On the 27th floor, ladder 6 met a woman struggling to continue, Josephine Harris. Helping her slowed them down, but they refused to leave her behind.
I didn't pass out. Afterwards, I thought about it myself. I said, gee. But there was no time for crying.
That decision, captured in radio logs and remembered by survivors, altered their timeline in a way no one could have predicted. At 9:59 a.m., the South Tower collapsed. Security cameras in the North Tower shook violently. Some feeds terminated instantly. Others flickered as dust blasted through the building. On radio channels, firefighters shouted updates. Many believed the North Tower was coming down next. Inside Stairwell B, ladder 6 felt the structure twist beneath their feet. Dust rushed in. Visibility dropped to 0. Somewhere between floors 4 and 5, they made a split-second decision. Shelter in place. Stay low. Hold on. It saved them. At 10:28 a.m., the North Tower began to fall. The final security camera, still operating in the lobby, displayed its last timestamp, 10:28:22, before the feed cut to black. Survivors inside Stairwell B described the collapse as a sound unlike anything they had ever heard, a deep, rolling roar that grew until it swallowed everything. The stairwell shook violently. Handrails bent, concrete cracked overhead, and then total darkness. 110 floors collapsed in 12 seconds. Yet somehow a small vertical section of Stairwell B, roughly 4 stories tall, remained standing. Inside that pocket were 14 people. Members of Ladder 6, a Port Authority officer, and 2 civilians, including Josephine Harris, all of them alive, buried in silence and dust. Above ground, cameras across Manhattan captured the collapse from miles away. The dust clouds swallowed entire streets. No one knew that, deep inside the wreckage, a tiny pocket of life remained. The survivors inside Stairwell B could see only inches ahead. Their radios were dead, but they could shout. They could bang on pipes. They could make noise. And they did, for hours. Rescue teams searching the ruins moved carefully. Every step risked triggering another collapse. Fires burned throughout the pile. Smoke made navigation almost impossible. But then, through the shifting steel and falling debris, a rescuer heard something, a voice. He called out, and for the first time since the tower fell, someone answered.
I have seen him come down, and he's on a rope. I'm like, how are they going to get me out of here on a rope? You look around the place; it's totally disaster.
The discovery of survivors was captured through rescue radio channels and handheld cameras. The footage shows frantic coordination, careful digging, and a race against the unstable debris. Reaching the survivors meant crawling through narrow gaps of twisted steel, sometimes on their stomachs, sometimes holding debris in place by hand. One by one, over several hours, all 14 survivors were pulled out. News cameras positioned at safe distances recorded them emerging, covered in ash, exhausted, but alive. On a day that claimed nearly 3,000 lives, these 14 people had survived the total collapse of a skyscraper. Their rescue spread across the world, a rare moment of hope within an overwhelming tragedy. As the survivors recovered, engineers examined what remained of the building. Stairwell B had been part of a reinforced core section designed to carry massive weight. When the tower collapsed, debris fell around it, in a pattern that destroyed everything except this one narrow pocket. The timing of Ladder 6's descent, their decision to help Josephine, and the exact second they stopped to shelter, all of it aligned perfectly. 1 minute faster, 1 minute slower, and they would have been inside a section that didn't survive. Their story has since been preserved through documentaries, news reports, and interviews, creating one of the most extraordinary survival accounts ever recorded. The Miracle of Stairwell B is a reminder that even in the darkest moments, a spark of life can endure. The last recordings from that day captured tragedy, but they also captured courage, sacrifice, and survival. This channel examines final captured moments from history, not to exploit tragedy, but to preserve the human stories within them. If you want more reconstructed accounts based on real footage, testimony, and recordings, consider subscribing. This was Stairwell B, a final capture that became a miracle.